You are listening to The Hero's Journey. I'm Jeff Garvin.
And I'm Dan Zarzana.
Let the journey begin.
Welcome to this very special pandemic edition of The Hero's Journey. Normally, Jeff and I get together at Studio Z on recording day, but in compliance with our local government's order to shelter at home, I am currently sitting at my desk at home with a cobbled together audio setup and Jeff's little tiny face on my cell phone screen. Jeff's little face. What's your situation, Jeff?
I am in my closet, upstairs in my bedroom, surrounded by clothes. And it's actually, that sound seems pretty good because I've got all these dampeners around me, aka clothes.
Is that why you went into the closet, or
I went into the closet because it is the only room in the house where I can close the door, and if children are talking or screaming or falling down the stairs, I won't hear. Parents, you know what I mean.
There's probably hundreds of thousands of parents sitting in their closets right now with their bottle of Jack Daniels.
Ami suggested that I move my computer laptop in here to work, and I thought she was being completely ridiculous, but now that I'm in here, I'm totally going to work in here.
Welcome to the writer's closet. Wow. So anyway, yeah, please, listeners, forgive any loss in audio quality with this episode. This is the first time we've done it this way. And personally, I feel like a horse on roller skates, but we'll figure it out. There's thousands of podcasts that are recorded like this. So I feel like I'm probably complicating things on my end just out of sheer ignorance, but we will do our best to make this as clean an episode as we can, so hopefully you can't tell the difference.
Today, we are talking about Point Break, a film in the early directing career of Kathryn Bigelow, the only woman who has ever won the Academy Award for Best Achievement in Directing, which she earned in 2008 for The Hurt Locker. We should probably note here that our Patreon poll, in which we asked patrons to choose which Kathryn Bigelow film we should cover this episode, The Hurt Locker and Point Break tied. We cast the deciding vote for Point Break because neither Dan nor I had ever seen it, and we felt that we needed to fill in that hole in our 90s film educations.
Yeah, between this and last episode, Total Recall, I feel like I'm at least in my second half of freshman year now in terms of 90s film education, catching up.
Oh, boy.
So, Jeff, Point Break did not earn any Academy Award or Golden Globe nominations.
Shocking.
But it did score a couple of MTV Movie Award nominations. Now, normally we wouldn't really mention those, but I think in this case there's some humor involved. So
yeah, it's apt.
The first one is for Best Action Sequence. And it lost that award to Terminator 2 Judgment Day's Freeway Chase.
That's a fair yes.
And Keanu Reeves was awarded Most Desirable Male, defeating Jean-Claude Van Damme in Double Impact, Christian Slater in Cuffs.
Keanu Reeves ruining my career.
I had totally forgotten about that movie.
Oh, I had it on VHS because I was a Christian Slater disciple.
Yes, you were.
Do you remember what that movie's about?
Not at all.
Next on The Hero's Journey, Cuffs.
Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and his own Point Break co-star Gary Busey. Wait, no, that says Patrick Swayze. So we got a couple of heartthrobs in this movie.
Swayze one-upped Reeves, though, when People magazine named him the sexiest man of the year.
I think that award has a little more clout. The People magazine's sexiest man of the year rather than MTV Movie Awards most desirable.
Maybe. Point Break was released on July 12, 1991. During its theatrical run, it earned a worldwide box office gross of just over $83.5 million against its $24 million budget.
Not bad.
Yeah. Other films released in July 1991 include Regarding Henry, starring Harrison Ford, Boys in the Hood, the late John Singleton's directorial debut, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, so you could go to the theater and enjoy a Keanu double feature.
Excellent!
And Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which, as we know, was written and directed by James Cameron, who also served as executive producer of Point Break and was an uncredited script doctor.
At this time, he and Kathryn Bigelow were an item.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wonder what their celebrity couple name would have been had people been doing that at the time. Bigaron.
Camelo.
Camelo. that sounds like some kind of like diet cigarette.
Camelo. For when you want to get cancer, but the easy way.
All right, let's get into this journey. Get your surfboard waxed. Grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff. Pull it out. All right, stop. Stop it. What just happened to us?
I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Oh, my God. That was some kind of coronavirus-induced nightmare. We can never allow that to happen again.
No. How about this? Don a presidential mask, wax your board, and practice your pop-up, because we are taking on Point Break.
Act 1 of the hero's journey is World of Common Day. This is where we see the main character and their status quo normal life. Johnny Utah shoots plywood people in the rain while chewing gum.
Juicy fruit, I'm sure.
It may have been Wrigley. I don't know. It looked like that wrapper was green, but...
He did not do the official Wrigley load, by the way.
So Johnny is an FBI agent, fresh out of Quantico, high ranked in his class.
Top 2%.
The whole point of that opening sequence of him shooting the plywood people is to show his skill as a marksman. He gets a 100% accuracy score, and that's important later.
Well done, Johnny.
Upon arrival at the Los Angeles FBI Bank Robbery Division, he is very warmly greeted by his new boss, Special Agent Ben Hart, played by Mr. John C. McGinley.
Yes, I can't get enough.
Making at least his third appearance on the hero's journey.
That's right. Okay, so it was The Rock. What else?
7.
Oh, that's right.
Point Break. So those are the 3 I can think of off the top of my head.
For those of you who don't know him off the top of your head, he maybe is best remembered as the doctor on Scrubs, the sort of sarcastic, mean attending on Scrubs.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be his role. He's sarcastic and mean in this, too.
He's probably a lovely man to spend time with.
Special Agent John Utah, day number 1 in L.A. Welcome aboard. You're going over your personnel record. Very impressive.
Thank you.
You may very well have been in the top 2% of your class at Quantico, but quite frankly, son, out here you have exactly 0 hours of experience in the field. You know nothing. In fact, you know less than nothing. If you even knew that you knew nothing, that'd be something, but you don't.
Yes, sir.
The purpose of this scene between Johnny Utah and his boss shows that Johnny Utah has been studying the data on the Los Angeles area.
This is us.
All right, I got it.
Bank robbery. And you are now in the bank robbery capital of the world.
1,322 last year in L.A. County, up 26% from the year before.
That's correct. And we nailed over 1,000 of them.
He is then introduced to his new partner, Angelo Pappas, played by Gary Busey.
I have been saddled with some blue flamer Quantico cat. Some quarterback punk. Johnny Unitas or something.
Hey, Angie. What? Here's your guy.
What? Pappas. Angelo Pappas.
Punk. Quarterback punk.
So Angelo Pappas is an over-the-hill burnout agent that everybody in the Bureau mocks. So now you've got the hot-headed rookie and the crotchety old cop. This is the classic pairing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I saw as the World of Common Day.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to add is that Pappas is a 22-year veteran who has shot his weapon over 19 times.
Well, maybe he stopped counting after 19.
That's just odd. That brings us to Call to Adventure. The hero is presented with a challenge, which renders him unable to continue living in the comfort of the ordinary world.
Everybody freeze! Nobody move! Keep your hands up and your eyes down! I'll tell us, back away from the cars, hands on your...
A crack gang of bank robbers known as the ex-presidents have been ripping off banks in LA every summer. They've hit 27 banks in 3 years, in and out in 90 seconds, and they just knocked over their latest on Johnny's watch.
Hands up! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are the ex-presidents, and we need just a few moments of your time. We've been screwing you for years, so a few more seconds shouldn't matter, now should it?
So these guys are uncatchable, and they've been haunting Pappas for the last 3 summers. They're so brazen that as they leave the latest bank, one of them moons the camera with the message, "Thank you," emblazoned across his ass in Sharpie. So at the scene after this robbery, Pappas and Johnny are watching security camera footage, and Pappas is extolling the prowess of the robbers when two other agents show up, Babbitts and Alvarez, and they start mocking Pappas for his crazy theory about the presidents. And then John C. McGinley arrives and starts to tell Alvarez and Babbitt to go work the drop car, the getaway vehicle that the robbers ditched on Mulholland. But before they can accept, Johnny says, "We'll work it." And to me, that's the call to adventure right there. That's the beginning of them pursuing the ex-presidents.
Yeah, agreed. That segues very nicely into the next segment, refusal of the call, where confronted with the fear of the unknown, our hero refuses the call to adventure. Sometimes this energy is expressed from within the hero and sometimes from without. So in this case, there is no refusal of the call from Johnny Utah.
Right.
He jumps on this like a duck on a June bug. He wants to go after...
Duck on a June bug? Is that a thing?
Have you ever watched a duck chase a June bug?
I can honestly say no. Never in my life have I had the opportunity to watch a duck chase a June bug. I'm using that forever now. I'm putting that in my lexicon.
The refusal comes from Agent Pappas.
Right.
Because he's seen this. He's been, like you said, he's a 22-year veteran. He's seen L.A. change. The air got dirty. The sex got clean.
Yeah.
Leave it alone, Johnny.
Okay, fine. You've given up. Fine. It doesn't mean I have to.
Hey, listen. Forget about it, kid. They are ghosts.
Yeah, of course. What am I thinking? If you couldn't crack it with all your years of experience, it's impossible to conceive that I might have something to offer, right? Well, maybe I can do better than some over-the-hill burnout.
Hey, watch your mouth.
And it is actually, in this case, Utah, who is almost serving a little bit of mentor energy to rile up Pappas.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to just take some early retirement right now and get some rent-a-cop night security job. Tell Nom stories.
Listen, you snot-nosed little I was taking shrapnel and K-Sod while you were crapping it in your hands and rubbing it on your face.
You mad?
Yeah, I'm mad.
Good and mad?
Yeah. What do you want to do about it?
Feels good, doesn't it? Like you're still alive, right?
Yeah.
Well, since you're still alive and you're not in the box just yet, why don't you tell me this theory of yours and we'll go get these guys?
That brings us to Meeting with the Mentor, where the hero receives counsel on how to operate in the special world, also known as supernatural aid, which is unexpected assistance that comes to the hero. Back at FBI HQ, Pappas unpacks his theory about the ex-presidents, the theory that he's been mocked by the entire department for. Pappas thinks the ex-presidents are surfers. Security footage shows, especially from the mooning episode, that they have distinct tan lines, and a soil sample from one of their shoes shows traces of sand and surf wax. Plus, the robberies all occur during the summer. He suggests that the ex-presidents are using the money to travel, to go where the waves are. And he has this great trailer moment where he jumps up on the desk, and takes on the pose of a surfer and says,
Right.
"The ex-presidents rip off banks to finance their endless summer." And then, Johnny does the same thing. And it's this crazy, this is the beginning of the testosterone buffet that is
Right.
Point Break. And I would just say that the supernatural aid here is, I think, the background of the case. Johnny needed this gift of knowledge in order to use his considerable skills to solve the case.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
But you mentioned Johnny's mentor energy. I think it's a motif of the buddy cop movie genre where they kind of mentor each other.
Sure.
They change each other. It's that thing.
Yeah. I did have one extra bit
Ooh.
here that goes into Meeting with the Mentor, but I can see how it's also bleeds into Crossing of the First Threshold. So I'll marry the two. So the next segment is Crossing the First Threshold. This is where the hero passes a barrier to enter the special world of the adventure. Pappas tells Utah how to go undercover as a surfer. Because Utah's he's walking down the pier in a suit, carrying a pink surfboard under his arm. He's like,
Why can't I just walk around with this thing under my arm and act stone, ask a few questions?
Look at them. They're like some kind of tribe. They got their own language. You can't just walk up to those guys. You have to get out there and learn the moves, get into their head, pick up the speech.
You're trying to tell me the FBI is going to pay me to learn to surf?
It's either you or me out there on the board. You get my drift?
Angelo, this is for little rubber people who don't shave yet.
Come on. You're the quarterback, Jock. It's all balance, right? And coordination. How hard can it be?
you have to go become one of them. You have to earn their trust before you can start to find things. So I feel like
that's mentor energy, absolutely.
A mentor moment.
Yes.
But it also is part of the crossing of the first threshold, because this is where Johnny has to now transform himself from top of his class Quantico FBI agent into rookie surfer pretending to be a lawyer,
right,
to infiltrate this group of surfers and try to figure out which surfers are the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
So there's a sequence of Johnny trying to surf by himself, no lessons. He just paddles out there and he wipes out. And he is trapped underwater over a sequence of wave breaks, and he can't get to the surface, and he's starting to drown. And then somebody dives into the water, pulls him up, gets him on his board, and drags him back to shore. And this person turns out to be Lori Petty's character,
Tyler Ann Endicott, born 11/27/64.
See, that's interesting. You've bled into my test now. I saw the crossing of the threshold as he goes to the surf shop and buys a surfboard, and there's this little blonde, precocious, like, teenager who starts to give him, like, advice and encouragement, like, hey, surfing's going to change your life, which of course it does. And then I ended it when he gets on the board in the ocean. Now he's trying to be a surfer. The wipeout, I actually put that as the first failed test.
Interesting.
But we're on the same page, which is him getting up, him surfing for the first time is his crossing the threshold.
Yeah. I felt like he's been on land the whole time. Him crossing into the ocean to try to surf, that seemed like the crossing of the first threshold.
I concur.
To me.
I concur. The wipeout and post that to me, that's to me the first failed test. But
they could occupy the same space in the journey.
Agreed.
And that concludes Act 1. Do you have any extra points to add?
That was great. So fast. No, that's exactly where I called the end of Act 1.
Okay. Well, normally at this time we would head down to Campbell Cafe, but quarantine, we've got to, I guess, I don't know, go down into your kitchen and get a cup of coffee.
Let's put on our masks and head over to the Closet Cafe.
Oh, there you go. Well done.
So Dan, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you playing?
Given quarantine, I'm trying to stay busy doing normal creative stuff, working on the podcast, writing, trying to clean something in the apartment every day. But I also am taking this opportunity, just like last month, to watch a whole bunch of movies. I've got another 14 on the list here. I won't discuss them all. But I did watch, I'm getting caught up on Peaky Blinders. So I watched seasons 2 through 4 of Peaky Blinders. And for people who gave season 1 a chance and didn't care for it because they thought it was slow, not a whole lot happens, that was setting up the dominoes.
Really?
Then the dominoes start to fall, and it has been a really fast-paced, exciting show from seasons 2 through 4, and I just started season 5, so it's been really cool. I've been trying to watch a lot of foreign films, too. I watched El Espinazo del Diablo. Apologies to our Spanish-speaking listeners who just cringed at how I pronounced that. But The English translation is The Devil's Backbone. This was a 2001 film by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay.
It's a ghost story about an orphanage during the Spanish Civil War, and it's about these kids trying to solve this ghost. Why is this ghost haunting the orphanage? It's a really neat movie. I really enjoyed it. A lot of practical effects, not a whole lot of CGI, and I think it's elevated for that reason. Really great film. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I also watched... Did you see A Quiet Place?
No.
I watched that a few weeks ago, and that is a really neat movie. Very well done.
I can't use my phone to add it to Letterboxd because I'm using my phone to look at you. So I'm logging into Letterboxd on my laptop that's recording this right now so that I can add A Quiet Place.
Last film I want to talk about.
Okay.
From 2018, The Velocipaster.
Yes! Oh, man.
The short description is, after the death of his parents, a priest travels to China where he inherits the strange ability to turn into a dinosaur.
Okay.
At first, he's horrified by this, but a prostitute convinces him to use this ability to fight crime, period, and ninjas. It's one of those B-movie Ed Wood style films, except they know exactly what this film is. They kind of play on the fact that they know this is cheesy.
Yeah.
There's a stamp. There's a very meta knowledge stamp on this film, and I think that raises it. This would be an awful, awful, awful film, but because the director knew what he was doing and played with the fact that this is a low-budget film, it was a 3-star film for me. Because of that wink and a nod to the audience, like, yeah, we know what this is. Ladies and gentlemen of planet Earth, you are stuck in your homes right now, and the next time you have an hour and a half, watch The Velocipaster. It's really a lot of fun.
It's been frustrating to watch people on Twitter and Facebook talk about how much extra time they have on their hands and how they're dealing with this quote-unquote boredom that they have, because my kids are out of school and I have to homeschool them. So my day, my free time, my work time has been cut in half easily, and my free time has equally been cut in half because kids require homeschooling and care. So I've been very envious watching people on the internet. And then the other half of the people on the internet are parents who are tearing their hair out and measuring the increase in their alcohol consumption and all that stuff. And I also, I think a couple months ago, I made the commitment to watch more films, and that commitment crumbled. But our friend Curtis posted to our WhatsApp chat a list of all the Star Wars narrative filmed entertainment in story order. And so my wife got inspired for us to experience that with our kids. So with them, I rewatched episode 1 of The Phantom Menace. It's terrible. It's worse than I remember it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Then we watched the Clone Wars movie, which is pretty good for a cartoon movie. It fills in some plot gaps. It's mostly cartoon action sequences. And then we watched the first 2 eps of the Clone Wars series, which is awesome because there's a lot of Yoda in it. Oh, and then we also watched episode 2 because that comes chronologically before Clone Wars.
So did you watch episode 2 after you watched 3 episodes of the Clone Wars cartoon and then go, oh, whoops, we were doing this out of order?
No, I just mentioned them out of order.
Oh, okay.
We finished The Mandalorian season 1. So the kids have been getting their Star Wars education. So
yes,
yeah.
That's the most important education.
Yes, Mandalorian was awesome. And then I watched, there's a new Google Chrome extension called Netflix Party, and you can watch a Netflix movie by remote with someone and not have to do like we have to do where you would 3, 2, 1, play. You get to create a party and both people log into Netflix and then you send them a link and then it plays the movie simultaneously. So podcast patrons, Melanie and Mac, are longtime college friends. So we set up our iPad to see them, and then we created a Netflix party on our laptop and airplayed it to the TV, and we all watched The Secret Life of Pets 2 together, our family and Mel and Mac. And, so we're typing, there's a chat box, so we're typing little chat comments to each other, and it was a lot of fun. It was like watching a movie in the living room with someone else, so that was fun.
That's a really good idea. I don't know if this service has always been available, and it's only just now becoming popular because of the lockdown, but it's a really great idea.
I highly recommend it. I've been doing, so when we moved to the book category, I thought I'd use this time to really catch up on reading, but that's been a joke. So I've been doing comfort reads on audio. So I re-listened to On Writing by Stephen King, and I'm 3/4 of the way through 11/22/63 for my second or third read. I just really needed something familiar and comforting.
I'm astounded that you've read 11/22/63 that many times.
Well, audio. I've read it.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
But that's a long...
It's probably my third read. I love that book. It's probably my favorite Stephen King book. Maybe second favorite behind Bag of Bones. And then I thought we might bring up what we're both reading now, which is patron Dean Ethington started a book club, and the first book selected was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson.
Yes.
Which is
a big mama.
It is a tome. It is a book where the biggest obstacle to reading isn't time, but physically holding. You can't read it in bed because it weighs several pounds.
Yeah, it's 1,007 pages.
Wow.
At least the hardcover is.
So I just started reading that. I think I'm 50 pages in, and I haven't read an epic fantasy in print since college. So I'm really enjoying the way he's starting to build the world. And I love how this book drops terms and doesn't over-explain them. He does just enough that you can follow the story, but he expects you to go along with him and then pick up the details of the world as you roll through it. And I'm really enjoying that. So satisfying. And he does it so well.
Yeah, agreed. It's been a really fun experience. The setting is revealed in little breadcrumbs, and it keeps me driving forward. I was worried that this book was going to take me a long time to read, but I think I'll be done with it before we record our next episode.
Whoa! You'll be hearing about this every episode through July for me, because it's just 20 pages is that's a lot of reading for me for one day in the current situation. All right, well, let's refresh our coffees here and move on to Act 2. Act 2 of the hero's journey begins with the road of trials, tests, allies, enemies. Now in the special world, our hero makes allies, meets enemies, and must pass a series of tests to prove his worthiness. Allies. Pappas, Johnny's partner, played by Gary Busey, not Jake Busey. I got that right in this version of the podcast. And then Tyler, his surf instructor turned lover. Those, to me, are the only clear-cut, solid allies in this movie. Enemies include War Child and the Red Hot Chili Peppers gang, and Ben Harp. Ben Harp, a.k.a. John C. McGinley, is constantly trying to stop Johnny. He's a opposing force. And then this movie is packed with shapeshifters. Bodhi and his gang, Roach, Nathaniel, Gromit, and Wallace, all appear to be friends as the movie gears up, but they're not what they appear to be.
Wait, were you making a joke, or was there a Wallet and Gromit reference in this? and I missed it.
Gromit is one of the characters. I threw Wallace in there.
Yeah.
To excite you.
Oh. I knew one of them was called Gromit, but because that's actually a slang term for like a youngster, like a rookie.
Oh, is it?
That's what he's the youngest member of the gang. So
I didn't know that.
So his name's Gromit.
We have a bunch of tests in this movie. I'm going to try to avoid my usual practice of just plot vomit. So his first attempt at surfing is a total wipeout, but I think maybe this is still a pass because he's rescued by Tyler, a beautiful surfer girl played by Lori Petty, and her incredible glowing blue topaz eyes man, her eyes are blue. And she's so great in this movie. She's tough and vulnerable and just really a great on-screen presence. I love her acting. And I loved her in Orange is the New Black. She's a really skilled actor. And in the background during this scene, we hear I Want You by Concrete Blonde. And man, the 90s nostalgia in this movie hit me hard. The lack of cell phones and technology and her old convertible Porsche, the green screen computers, it just transported me. Another test, Keanu does some 90s style green screen Googling and learns that Tyler's parents were killed in a car wreck. So he goes to talk to her at the seafood takeout restaurant where she works, and he makes up this story about how his parents died and persuades her to teach him to surf. So he passes that test.
I kind of wanted to highlight during this moment that he is a shapeshifter to Tyler Ann.
That's a good point. The hero as shapeshifter. The next test is a montage. Tyler gives Johnny surfing lessons, and he sucks, and he gets better. And at the end of it, he finally catches his first wave. Yay, Johnny Utah. Next test is he meets Bodie, a.k.a. Patrick Swayze, and his crew of surfers. And in the great tradition of bare-chested, homoerotic sports montages, like the volleyball scene in Top Gun, Johnny proves himself worthy to be among them by kicking ass at beach football. And in true hero's journey fashion, this scene culminates in a double baptism as Johnny and Bodie go tumbling into the surf.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of baptism in this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's ocean movie, so you could overdo, but I think this is the moment where they together are baptized, and it's a good story/directorial moment, I think, by Kathryn Bigelow.
Yeah.
We get a little backstory here. Johnny was a legit college football star, and Bodie knows it, and the guys are super impressed when that comes out, and now he's in. He's accepted into the first ring of this group of guys.
Right.
And then there's a great scene where John C. McGinley dresses him down. That's not really a test, but it's such a great scene. Such a great scene.
Right.
So at the beginning of the movie...
Can we back up a second?
Yeah.
I think you skipped something critical.
Oh.
And that is that in not only with the backstory of Johnny Utah was a star Ohio State Buckeye, but in the Rose Bowl game 3 years prior, he had a career-ending knee injury.
Yes. Yes,
that
right.
becomes very important later.
Yes, good call. That's why he didn't turn pro.
Don't you think that's a little out of line?
Whoa, cool it, Roach. Don't you know who this is?
No, I don't know who this is.
This is Johnny Utah, the Ohio State Buckeyes all-conference, remember?
Number 9, man. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Jesus Christ. Johnny Utah, sorry, man. Didn't mean to get in your face.
Man, I knew you. It was the Rose Bowl 3 years ago. You beat SC, right?
You did this.
It was him.
That was one hell of a game.
No shit. Yeah, you got nuked in the last quarter or something.
Yeah, I got my knee folded back about 90 degrees the wrong way.
Whoa, that's why you never went pro?
2 years of surgery. Missed my window. Went through law school instead.
Law school? You're a lawyer? Wow. Well, life's not over yet, man. You're surfing.
Lawyers don't surf.
This one does.
And also, that's a little bit of character development where he's a winner that got stopped, and now he wants to prove himself in his new career, too. Okay, so I guess it's worth saying that at the beginning of the movie, at the very first scene with John C. McGinley, Keanu Reeves' boss in the movie, he says, the way we get things done here is data analysis. We look at the clues, we analyze the data. Field work is not emphasized. And this is where they have their first data analysis breakthrough. They get a hair sample, they trace the chemicals, they go on a beach combing expedition and cut people's hair and yank people's hair out by tricking them.
Right.
And then they zero in on the specific beach where the presidents surf. Latigo Beach. So Johnny goes surfing at Latigo and tries to get in with the locals, but it backfires. He fails this test. He gets in the way of the wrong guy, Bunker Weiss, who cuts his surfboard leash and punches him in the face, right? Johnny loses this test. But then Johnny gets a second chance when Bunker and his gang accost him at the surf shower and try to kick his ass. Among the members of his gang, Anthony Kiedis, vocalist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was fun in this movie. I don't know why he didn't do more acting. Keanu manages to keep them at bay with some surfboard martial arts until Bodhi shows up, and together they kick his ass. And man, Swayze's got some martial arts moves. He's a couple of roundhouse kicks. His dance/physical background really shows in this scene.
Well, yeah, Roadhouse.
Right? So now Johnny and Bodhi are bonded by violence. Bodhi gives him some new age surf wisdom and invites him to a party. So this is a test he passes. And this is about the time in the movie where I realized that the car Pappas and Johnny roll in is a mid-'80s Chevrolet Caprice, which is the very car that I learned how to drive. And man,
the Polka-mobile.
That punched me right in the gut when I realized that. Oh, man. So the final test is Johnny thinks that Bunker and the Red Hot Chili Peppers are suspects. So he follows them and sets up a stakeout at their beach party house. That's just background. The real test is that he goes to Bodhi's party, and Bodhi invites him to go on a midnight surfing run. And that is where he catches his first legit wave. He really gets it. He surfs that wave, and that is his true initiation into Bodhi's tribe. He is now inside this group.
Yeah, when he paddles out next to Bodhi, and he says, "I've got to be effing crazy." And Bodhi says, "But are you crazy enough?"
Keanu gets a bad rap. He's exactly who he needs to be in this movie, in my opinion.
Right. That's exactly what I said in my Letterboxd review of this movie, is that Swayze and Reeves were exactly what I expected and exactly what I wanted out of them.
Absolutely right. That is the end of tests.
One piece of information that Johnny Utah earns during the party is that Bodhi talks about next year there's going to be a 50-year storm that's going to create some incredible surfing off the coast of Australia, and he will not miss it.
So what's the biggest? Waimea?
Ridden?
Yeah.
Kaha. Gain a point.
Bells Beach, Australia.
Whoa. No way Bells is bigger than Waimea, bro.
We'll be next year.
Bodhi believes the 50-year storm is coming next year.
50-year storm? What's that?
That's kind of a legend.
No, it's real. It's absolutely real. Everything moves in cycles. So twice a century, the ocean lets us know just how small we really are. A winter storm comes out of Antarctica, tearing up the Pacific. And it sends a huge swell north 2,000 miles. And when it hits Bells Beach, it'll turn into the biggest surf this planet has ever seen, and I will be there.
Put a pin in that for later in the film.
I underplot listed.
You want the ultimate, you gotta be willing to pay the ultimate price.
I think the Night Nookie is a test as well.
Nope.
Because he oversleeps. He fails it because he oversleeps and he's late to his own raid.
I disagree, man. Courtship is a recurring theme in the approach to the Inmost Cave.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You called it out in Edge of Tomorrow when they have that scene in the barn in the farmhouse. So I took that as the clear beginning of approach.
Okay. The reason I put it in test is because he oversleeps. It pulls him off of his path, and but I'll buy it that it's part of the approach as well. Again, it's just this movie like flows just like the waves of the ocean. The segments flow into each other very nicely.
The waking up late and sleeping on the beach, I saw as one of the things that's happening in this movie is, in a true buddy cop film way, he's now getting attached to Bodhi, and Bodhi's influence is seeping into him. He was the play-by-the-rules FBI agent, and now he's sleeping on the beach and waking up late. He's inside now, man, and it's starting to affect him.
He's at risk of going native.
That's right.
Moving on to approach to the Inmost Cave. This is where the hero reaches the edge of a dangerous place where the object of his quest is hidden. So, okay, we'll say that the Night Nookie with Tyler Ann is included.
Nookie.
But I think the biggest part of the approach to the Inmost Cave in this film is the FBI raid of Bunker Weiss's house.
Yes.
It goes bad. Violence erupts. There's a lot of gunfire. This is Johnny Utah's first, I'll say, officer-involved shooting, I guess. This is the first time he's had to draw his weapon and use it in the line of duty, which probably any officer will say is a traumatic time. You want to go through your career without ever having to pull your weapon. But
certainly
having to
not
pull it
over 19
and then
times.
also use it and take a life. He has to kill one of the gang members. At the end of this, after they've apprehended the surviving members of the gang, a very young Tom Sizemore appears, and it is revealed that he is a DEA agent who was working deep undercover for 3 months, working these guys, trying to find out who their drug dealer was so that he could bust this narcotics operation. And by Utah and Pappas raiding this house, he completely blew that 3-month operation out of the water.
He's messed up big.
Yeah, it's a big screw up.
I don't know about you, but this is the scene where this movie really started to leave the plateau of plausibility and descend into the valley of improbability. I mean, gunshots to the forehead. I realize Johnny's a crack shot, but multiple gunshots to the forehead from Pappas, a naked woman leaping out of a shower to stab people, a fist fight that culminates in a James Bond villain lawnmower blade face-off. It gets nuts. This is where the movie really gets nuts to me.
And then there's one more segment, I think. Early in the morning, Bodie swings by and collects Johnny and Tyler because there are 5-foot waves at Zero Beach and they need to go surf them right now. And so they all head off to this beach. And when Johnny and Tyler arrive, Johnny sees the 4 guys surfing these huge waves. And what we've been led to understand up to this point is that surfers are territorial. They don't like other people surfing on their wave. They get violent about it, right? I mean, that's what happens when Bunker decks Johnny because he got on the same wave and interrupted his flow. But these 4 guys are surfing this huge wave almost like a team.
Yeah.
They're in tandem. Their movements are in sync. Like, these guys know what they're doing. One of them also, while he's on his board, moons the other guys. And this starts the wheels turning. Johnny's thinking, oh my gosh, these might be the ex-presidents. Then he meets with Pappas, and he tells them, I tailed these guys, they went into a bank, and then they went back home and started boxing up their entire house. These guys are about to skip town. And so he thinks that Bodie and his group might be the ex-presidents. So the 2 of them agree that in the morning, they're going to stake out the bank.
Totally agree.
And that's the end of the approach.
I had a big problem with this sequence for a number of reasons. The first being, this is like that episode of Law and Order where they've cast like Christopher Walken as the janitor. And you're like, oh, I wonder if that guy's the serial killer. You know, it breaks the wall of believability. The moment we meet Patrick Swayze, we know he's the guy. And so this was the weak moment in the movie for me for 2 reasons. One, it was hard to suspend disbelief, even though you know the character doesn't know. Okay, fine. But the second one was the way they showed Johnny realizing it. It's like the surfer guy hangs BA, cut to Johnny having this moment of realization, and then in a totally nonsensical moment, Tyler says to him, whoa, you look like you've seen a ghost. And then we get a flashback of Gary Busey. These guys are ghosts. They're totally disconnected. It was a ridiculous...
putting together the pieces, man.
It was a terrible reveal. It would have been easy to write a better one. It's like a bare ass and the word ghost. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway. That takes us into Ordeal. Our hero faces the ultimate test, risking death to overcome his worst fear, sometimes actually appearing to die. I have a lot of problems with this movie, but the one thing about this movie that is inarguably great is the chase sequence that is the ordeal of this movie. Johnny and Pappas head to the Assured Trust Savings and Loan. Remember Savings and Loans? Again, with the nostalgia. And they stake it out.
90s.
They stake it out, but they are terrible cops. So They are distracted by the funny pages and meatball subs, and they miss the
Right.
robbery, but they see the guys coming out of the bank, and they give chase. And now we enter the Grand Theft Auto portion of the film. The chase scene is spectacular. Big, heavy, steel 80s cars smashing into each other, peeling out, drifting. One of the presidents uses a gas pump as a flamethrower, which I'm pretty sure is the fodder for Mythbusters. And then Johnny ends up chasing Ronald Reagan / Bodie on foot through alleys and houses and backyards. At one point, Bodie throws a pit bull at him, and then Johnny kicks the pit bull. You hear this like... And then they hop a fence and they end up in this big concrete riverbed, and Johnny tries to follow, but he blows out his injured knee. Oh man, the knee pops. And he gets a chance to shoot Bodie, but he doesn't. Instead, he rolls on his back and, enraged, fires his gun directly into the air. Not 7, not 10, but 14 times. And I have a little firearm side note in the tidbits, but Bodie gets away. The appearing to die death moment, I think, is when his knee pops and he can no longer pursue Bodie, and that is, his past coming back to haunt him. Now he's failed again. His knee gave out at a critical point in his football career, and now it's failed again.
Totally agree. So moving on to my favorite / least favorite segment, the ultimate boon. The reward, having faced his worst fear, the object seizes the hero of his quest. Yes, no. Having faced his worst fear, the hero seizes the object of his quest. Good grief, I haven't even started drinking yet. Okay, so I had a hard time deciding what the reward is here.
I have a big blank section. Usually I make a couple bullet points for the sections that are yours, but I have a big blank space here. I can't wait to hear what you came up with.
The Beach Boys, as you've now called them, want Johnny dead. Bodie, though, calms them down and says, I know how to handle this guy. So they pick up Johnny, and this is a point where I got a little confused, because he has to know that Bodie knows that it was him who was chasing him.
Yes. They know that each other knows.
Unless there's something that, I guess there was really no confirmation that it is Bodie and his guys underneath those masks. He doesn't see them.
Right.
He just knows that somebody robbed the bank. I don't know. I think maybe that, again, like you said, when you've got an A-list actor as your second lead in a crime film, of course they're going to be the bad guy. So as a viewer, I had a hard time separating myself and my knowledge, that meta knowledge, without even seeing the film. Again, this is the first time I'd ever watched this film.
It just seems like it wouldn't have been that difficult to create a little bit more believable tension between Johnny suspecting Bodie and us wondering if he really knew. I mean, you could have it where we obviously know because it's Patrick Swayze, but we believe that based on the circumstances, Johnny really isn't sure. You could have set it up that he thinks it's Bodie, but he's not sure. You could have set it up so that that scene really is tense when Bodie comes and says, hey, let's go surfing, man. But
right.
Even Patrick Swayze plays it like they both know. And you're like, well, then why would you go with them? And why didn't you have protection? Why weren't you ready for some kind of retaliation from Bodie if you knew it was him and you knew he saw you running after him? That was, I agree, that was tough.
There is the moment of Bodie and Johnny Utah in Johnny's bedroom, and Bodie saying, okay, let's get you ready. Let's get some socks. Here's a shirt. And Johnny Utah is like reaching on the ground trying to get his handgun. And Johnny and Bodie pulls him out of the room. And they're not going surfing this time. They're doing something different, and it's going to be really cool. So they go skydiving instead. The ultimate rush. And again, it's this weird moment where the Beach Boys wanted Johnny dead, but they're all doing a really good job of acting like they don't know that Johnny was just shooting a gun at them the day before. They're very friendly with him, which I feel like at least one of them should have been a little cold, been unable to hide their contempt for him. now because he betrayed them. But what this scene is, the reason I think the skydiving scene is the reward is because this is, just like with the night surfing, this is Bodhi giving Johnny an appreciation for the ultimate rush and also giving him the confidence to do what he's going to have to do later in the film.
Interesting. I'll buy that. I think this scene could have been made richer if we saw in the aftermath of the chase Bodhi being just so disappointed that Johnny had betrayed him, that he felt like he was going to save this guy who had been such a sports hero and failed and became a lawyer. I think Bodhi would have considered it a victory if he could have made Johnny a part of their crew. That would have been such a victory. I wish I could have seen that disappointment.
There's a little bit
that it really had it set up that Bodhi said, all right, we're going to get this guy on our team. This is the thing where we're going to show him that he should leave his FBI life and join us. And I just felt like that wasn't established. And so that emotional investment wasn't there. I really wanted to like Bodhi more than I did at this point in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the reason this is the reward is because if Johnny does not learn how to skydive in this scene, he doesn't jump out of that airplane at the end.
Oh, good.
There's no way he's going to do that. He's going to stay in the plane and he's going to be pissed off that the bad guy got away, and that's the end of it.
Well done. Well, that is the end of Act 2, which means it's time for us to move our operation to the Vogler Lounge.
Yeah, well, but again, Vogler Lounge is closed due to quarantine, so you be in your Vogler closet.
Can't we just imagine?
Imagination.
All right, let's go.
Some imagination, huh?
Jesus. Let's take a break and go get some booze.
Yes, sir. This is a different situation that we're in right now. Normally, during our beverage break, I pick a themed beverage, but because we are separated by many miles, I didn't really have any way of getting a beverage to you. So we've each come up with our own Point Break themed adult beverage.
Yes. Shall I?
So what did you go with?
Okay, so this beverage, its connection to the movie is so tenuous and so obtuse, but I hope you'll let it qualify. So, as this is a 90s throwback movie for me, I thought that I would make an old-fashioned.
Okay.
But since it's a beach-themed movie as well, I wanted to do something beachy. And so, since I recently went to the Philippines, I chose there's a citrus fruit native to the Philippines called calamansi. It's also known as the Filipino lime. It's a little yellowish orange fruit that grows on a little tree. So Ami got some calamansi juice. So this is, I'm going to hold it up to the camera. This is Basil Hayden's bourbon.
Okay.
So it's 2 ounces of bourbon, a half ounce of calamansi juice, and organic local honey from my friend John St. Amont's bee farm, and a slice of lemon. So there you go. I'll put a photograph of it, and I'll put the recipe up on the website.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of an old-fashioned / whiskey sour, but it's sweeter than that. Calamansi has a little bit of sourness to it.
We have a couple of bartenders who listen to this, so I'm sure right now they're saying, "That's not an old-fashioned, you idiot! That's a blah, 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 blah."
Let me tell you, what I learned downstairs just now is that I'm a terrible mixologist, and I appreciate the works of mixologists. So, shall I taste it, or do you want to introduce yours first, and then we'll taste it together?
Okay, I'll go. I went much simpler with it. I didn't go all fancy with a mixed drink. This is the first time there's ever been a cocktail on.
That's true.
On the beverage break, it's always a bottled or canned beverage just for ease of transport. Also, because we always put it in the secret bag, and if I put a cocktail in the bag, it would slosh all over the place, and there wouldn't be any left. Because you always pick it up and swing it around above your head and do all kinds of weird stuff with it before you actually pull it out. Okay, so I went with Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing Company.
Of course. Well done. It's a beautiful golden color.
No, this is really, really pretty.
Oh, I should describe mine. It looks like pineapple juice. It's a pale yellow color. There's lots of ice in there, a lemon wedge. Actually, a lemon ring perched jauntily upon the rim of the glass. All right, let's do this.
So Kona says that Big Wave is a lighter-bodied golden ale with tropical hop aroma and flavor, smooth, easy drinking, and refreshing. The use of caramel malt introduces a golden hue of this beer, and our special blend of hops provides bright, quenching finish that makes it a struggle to not grab another one. It is 4.4% alcohol. It smells, very, very tropical, which I feel like yours probably smells tropical too, because you actually literally have tropical fruits in your...
Yeah, it smells like calamansi, which is like orange, mandarin, lemony, limey smell, and then I've got that lemon ring, so it's got a very citrusy smell. All right, I'm going to take a sip.
Have you tasted that beverage before? Have you made it for yourself before, or is this the first time?
Pow! No, I just made it today for the first time. Pow! It's sweet, but it's more sour than I expected. It's, you know what? I'm going to say this is more like a whiskey sour.
How is it
than
sour?
An old-fashioned.
What's sour?
The calamansi liqueur has a sour, maybe not sour. Yeah, it's got a sour.
Wait, it's a liqueur? I thought you said it was juice.
Sorry, no. I have a calamansi liqueur, but I did not use it. I used calamansi juice.
Okay.
And it's got a sour, almost like a sour lemon vibe to it.
Okay.
But the honey makes it sweet. I can't taste the bourbon at all. This is a dangerous beverage. Oh, man. That's good.
Good. This Big Wave Golden Ale is island time in a glass. This is really easy to drink. It's smooth.
Is it malty?
It's a little bit, yeah. There's a really nice balance between malt and hops. But there's a hint of citrus, which is nice. Yeah, I could drink this all day. In fact, I might. I've got 2 more in the fridge.
I'd like to mention it's 11:25 a.m. and I'm drinking in my closet.
What has this quarantine done to us?
I saw a meme that expresses who I am. I guess it wasn't really a meme. It was a single frame cartoon that someone posted on Facebook. And it was an anthropomorphized cup of coffee with arms and legs and eyes on a track and field running track, holding a baton out, and in front of the baton reaching back was a glass of wine.
Yes. Very appropriate, especially for these times.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty good. I'm proud of myself.
I don't know if you can see my glass and how much of it.
Wow. You're gulping that. Jeez, man.
I am. I really am. This is a really easy beer to drink. I think I might need to go down and get another bottle before we start Act 3.
Sounds good to me.
Speaking of which, moving on to Act 3.
Act 3 begins with the road back. The hero is pursued. On the screen, Dan is doing the sprinkler. We're trying to make each other laugh. It's hard doing this without being able to
weird.
See each
other in person. I
don't
like you not being in the same room with me. This is not...
I know.
This isn't what I signed up for, Jeffrey.
I know. Me too. The hero is pursued by vengeful forces he disturbed when he seized the object of his quest. Tyler Ann becomes a vengeful force when she finds Johnny's FBI badge, realizes he's been lying, and confronts him, brutally shooting his pillow. Feathers are coming out of the pillow, and he can't chase what What follows is the worst apology phone call ever filmed.
It almost rivals the bad phone call from Swingers.
Yep. Johnny interfered in the ex-president's robbery, so now Bodhi and his gang become vengeful forces. You included this in your reward. I like how you included it in your reward, so we'll leave it standing there. So now they land. They're all buddy-buddy again. Johnny is clearly psyched. He enjoys that skydiving, and it's almost a bonding moment. They get back to the van, and Bodhi flips on a TV and shows Johnny an image of Tyler tied up and gagged, and Rosie, one of the gang members, has a knife to her throat. And Bodhi says, hey, man, if you can't get me to where I need to be in 6 hours, Rosie's going to cut Tyler's throat. This is my favorite acting moment from Patrick Swayze, because he goes into this whole thing about, hey, man, I'm not a violent guy by nature. Like, I could never do this, but he's going to gut her like a pig if you don't get me where I need to go.
Right.
It's a great moment. The ex-presidents now make Johnny rob a bank with them, making sure to show his unmasked face to the security cameras. For some reason, Bodhi decides they're going to go for the vault this time. Maybe it's because he thinks this is going to be their last bank robbery because now it's gotten too hot. And it goes horribly wrong. There's an off-duty cop among the customers, and he shoots Bodhi, and then he shoots Johnny, and then all hell breaks loose. Gromit, the youngest president, dies in Bodhi's arms, and Bodhi is pissed. He pistol whips Johnny and leaves with Roach. I'm done with Road Back.
Oh, are you really?
Yep.
Okay, this is where I thought we were going to diverge.
Excellent.
I took the road back even farther. After the bank robbery goes bad, the ex-presidents escape, and then the FBI shows up. Johnny's in handcuffs, and Alvarez is just delighting in reading him his rights because he and his partner have been against Utah and Pappas from the beginning. So I saw that as a little bit of a vengeful force, too. The FBI has now taken Johnny into custody.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. If you so desire, an attorney will be provided for you free of cost. Now, do you understand these rights I've just given you, Utah? Do you understand?
Resurrection, or Master of Two Worlds, the hero is purified by death in either a literal or a symbolic way, and returns to the land of the living, a changed person. Why don't you tell me why the airport confrontation is part of Resurrection and not a continuation of Road Back?
The first part of Resurrection is that Johnny gets pistol whipped, he's knocked out. We come back to Johnny cuffed, and Pappas comes, knocks out John C. McGinley, and essentially rescues Johnny from being under arrest. Puts him in the car, unlocks his handcuffs. Now he's resurrected. He's back in action. So to me, that's a resurrection of the hero who was taken out of action. Now he's back in action.
Okay.
And then he gets to the airport where Pappas is with him. Roach shoots him. Now shooting has started. Everyone's shooting. Roach gets shot. And then the pilot of the plane comes out and says, I'm not taking you to San Felipe. And now Bodhi says, great. Now Johnny knows where we're going. He has to come with us. Meanwhile, Pappas dies in Johnny's arms. This is Johnny being purified by death. He is now untethered from the FBI. He's not accountable to his partner.
Oh, nice.
He's a free agent now. He is purified. He has shed his FBI identity, and now it's just him being the thrill seeker trying to save the girl.
Right.
So that's what I saw as the beginning of his resurrection.
Yeah, I can go with that. I put it in Road Back because I saw that second gunfight as part of Vengeful Forces. I saw the arrest of Johnny as Vengeful Forces, the FBI.
You know, this movie is quite a formulaic thriller. And it's interesting how the formula, quote unquote, I think that concept is overused, but the hero's journey is really present in a good formulaic Hollywood movie. If you skip elements of the journey, it seems to correlate with a part that's missing from the, successful Hollywood movie trope formula.
Yeah, when I was doing this analysis, I got through it rather quickly. It was this third act that I struggled a little bit with. Otherwise, this was one of the easier movies to analyze, I thought, in terms of the hero's journey.
Me too.
So continuing then with the resurrection, the surviving members get on this airplane and take off as the FBI swarm the tarmac, and they head for, apparently, San Felipe. Bodhi puts a parachute on Roach, shoves him out. This guy's dead before he hits the ground. And then he jumps, leaving Johnny without a parachute in this plane. But Johnny does have the pistol.
Giant cowboy revolver.
So he grabs that, and with this thrill-seeker confidence that he has gained throughout the film, and particularly in the previous action sequence with the skydiving, the reward, because he now has this experience, he's confident to just jump out of this airplane to go after Bodhi, because he needs Bodhi to call Rosie to say, let Tyler go. Otherwise, Rosie's going to kill her. Johnny is no longer interested in apprehending the criminal for their crimes. He wants to make sure that Tyler lives. This is a woman as temptress representation from Joseph Campbell's mythology. The love interest has now pulled the hero off of their original quest.
Although, in the woman's defense, it's a function of Johnny's lies and deceptions that gets her in that position in the first place.
But and this is the scene that the film was nominated for an MTV Movie Award. Johnny leaping out of the airplane, sans parachute, and by streamlining his body, reducing air resistance, he catches up with Bodhi.
What? Pull the shit, Bodhi! You're crazy! Pull the show! Why don't you pull it? No games, Bodhi! Pull the cord now! Nah, you pull it! Go ahead, Johnny, pull it! You gotta drop the gun, right?
That's so ridiculous. He jumped out of a plane with a gun to put a gun to it. That's just so... What's he gonna do? Shoot?
Yeah.
It's so uber testosterone-y ridiculousness.
Do it or you're gonna die, Johnny! 6 seconds! We're gonna be meat waffles! 5, 4...
And again, this is part of the resurrection. Johnny has leaped out of an airplane without a parachute. Death.
Yes.
But he drops the gun at the last second and pulls the parachute, but it's too late. They've already passed the point of being able to have a nice, safe landing, and they land hard. And again, Johnny's knee busts out, and he is unable to pursue Bodhi.
Ouch.
But Bodhi, true to his word, has Rosie let Tyler out of the Jeep. And the two of them are reunited, so there's a resurrection.
Yes.
And Bodhi and Rosie drive away in the Jeep, leaving the two of them in the desert. And I thought that was going to be the end of the movie.
Bodhi...
There's another scene after this.
Yeah. Well, Bodhi... another thing is Bodhi lets him live.
Right.
Because there is some honor code between them where, man, Johnny jumped out of that plane to come after him. He's earned survival somehow. And I don't think of the 90s as that long ago, but when I watch some of these movies, it reminds me that there is a distinct social value difference between what's acceptable now and what's acceptable then. I mean, Tyler was kidnapped and held at knife point after being lied to and seduced by Johnny, and now she's just so happy to see him. Not just to be rescued, but she is kissing him and holding him. It's this romantic moment, and I thought, man, if you tried to make that movie today, it would get smashed by basically any woman that saw it, because it's such a... She's a great 3D character until that moment, and then she becomes typical movie victim girl, and I thought that sucked.
Interesting that you say if you tried to make that movie today, because in 2015 a remake was released. I have not seen it though.
I haven't either.
I intended to watch it because I try to watch When we've done films in the past that had remakes, I've tried to watch all versions of it just so that I can speak to them during the episode.
Yeah.
But I ran out of time on this one.
Yeah.
But I am curious to watch it to see if they change the Tyler character.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to Return with the Elixir. Freedom to live. The hero, having won some precious treasure or reward, now returns to the ordinary world to share the spoils of battle. This film has an epilogue. Early in the film, as you referenced at that party, Bodhi makes reference to a 50-year storm that's going to hit Australia next year at Bells Beach, causing the biggest waves in a century, brah. So Keanu goes there. He's chased Bodhi halfway across the world and finally catches him here at Bells Beach. By the way, this whole thing is a perma-baptism because it's raining hard the whole time.
Right.
Keanu is soaking wet the first time we see him during the training sequence, and he's soaking wet the last time we see him. Nice symmetry, Ms. Bigelow. Well done.
Yeah. See?
She's paying attention. That's what I like about it. This is could be a cheesy action movie, but she's paying attention. She's making great symmetry choices. Here we get some of the best, worst movie dialogue ever. You gotta go down. You crossed the line, and people trusted you, and they died. Yeah, it went bad. It went real bad. Life's sure got a sick sense of humor, doesn't it? Still surfing? Every day. It's just... it's hard to believe that they looked at that script and went, good. We'll do that. Okay, so then, mirroring their football game earlier in the film, Johnny and Bodhi have another sexy slap fight in the surf. And then... And then the helicopters descend because helicopters are a good idea in a 50-year storm. And Keanu gets him in handcuffs cuffs his arm to Bodhi's. And Bodhi begs him to let me go, let me surf one last time.
Okay, man. Okay. I'm screwed. I'm gonna go to jail, and I'll pay, and Johnny Utah gets his guy. Right? Good for you. That's real good. You're gonna be a big hero now. But look at it, Johnny. Look at it! This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, man. Just let me go out there. Let me get one wave before you take me. One wave. I mean, where am I gonna go, man? Cliffs on both sides. I'm not gonna paddle to New Zealand. My whole life has been about this moment, Johnny. Come on, compadre. Come on.
And because they're totally bodacious bras, Johnny lets him. And Bodhi paddles out, and he is subsumed by the waves. And Johnny throws his FBI badge into the surf. And he is now free to pursue life as a professional surfer, the physical therapist, bank robber. We're not sure, but he's ready to start his new life.
And Bodhi was free to not live, but take the ultimate thrill and pay the ultimate price.
Yeah, and
as he said earlier.
And even though it's a resurrection where Campbell says it's the master of two worlds, but there's an element of that here where Johnny has caught the guy, the uncatchable criminal, and he has honored the surf code. So he has now mastered both of those worlds, the surfing world and the FBI world.
But that might be the return with the elixir as well. The surf code honor part is the elixir.
That's a good point. Speaking of elixirs, this cocktail that I made myself is about 3/4 gone, and I'm going to give myself a B-, maybe B+. B+. I'm giving myself a solid B. I'm giving myself a B on a cocktail I made up. My apologies to the mixologists.
Is that a 3.75 stars?
Maybe.
Right on, brah. That's Point Break.
Totally. Thank you for joining us. We hope you are all safe and healthy and home wherever you may be.
Yeah. Jeff, we are living in strange days. See what I did there? Strange Days? It's another Catherine Bigelow movie. Strange Day. Jeff.
I'm really glad we're 50 miles apart right now, and you can't sense the loathing that is rolling off my body toward you.
I can sense it. As most responsible human beings remain quarantined in their homes, levels of anxiety are going to increase. It's inevitable, it's natural, and it's nothing that we should be ashamed of. I've been wondering what you and your family are doing to combat the cabin fever.
Well, I wish I could say we were doing a better job. It's definitely been tough. Our moods have all been cranky. We're definitely pushing each other's buttons. Ami did something great, which is we don't use our balcony much. We have a balcony outside our bedroom, and she put 2 chairs out there and a little Buddha head piece of art that we had, and so we've been using that as an escape. I have worn out the battery every day on my noise-reducing headphones, trying to block out the world. But other than that, we've been trying to do things together as a family. We've been watching movies together. We're going to play board games, and we try to get outside every day that it's not raining. So those are the things we're trying to do.
All right, let's close this puppy down. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, review us, tell your friends about us.
If you're interested in supporting The Hero's Journey, go to patreon.com/Hero's Journey. A special thank you to our own ex-President's Gang, John Peterson Jr., Scott Sanford, both Boys React, and Chris Bodeker. We greatly appreciate the support of all our patrons.
And a brand new patron this month, joining the Hero's Journey at the demigod level, Joseph Wilbur. Thank you, Joseph, so much for your support, and welcome to the journey. During this episode, I sampled Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing Company, and I had a bonus of, oh my gosh, of Longboard Lager. And look, Jeff, I'm already almost...
Good night.
I am really putting this stuff away.
And I had a homebrew cocktail featuring the Filipino delicacy calamansi juice.
Point Break is copyright 1991, Largo Entertainment.
Thank you again for listening. Until next time,
journey on.
Dios.